It's Lisa from Been There, Got Out. And today's guest works for a career that we haven't had on in quite a while. And I'm super excited because Jacqy and I got to meet in real life. And when she said that she works in the field of private investigation, I was like, ooh, it's been so long since we've talked to a private investigator, and they always have some really, really juicy stories. I actually learned a term called the money shot, which I didn't realize isn't just a private investigator's term, but anyway, so hopefully Jacqy can get on and tell us about what her company does and how a private investigator might be able to help you in your very difficult divorce or custody battle or post-judgment issue. And let me see if we can get Jacqy on. I think we had the same thing like a minute ago. But anyway, so Jacqy's company is based near me in Connecticut, but also in New York City, but it's global. And so she can help people all over the place. All right, I see her trying to get on. It's spinning, but she's not on here yet, and hopefully everybody can hear me. Jacqy, can you say something so I can know? Do you hear me?
Hello. Yes. Hi, Lisa. I can
All right,
see
can you see
you.
me, Jack? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yes.
All right, good.
Are we on?
So before we even get into it, I know you had said we should talk about this, and I was like, let's do this little question and then have you introduce yourself. But since we are on social media, how do social media investigations play a role in my community's cases, family law cases?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think we're seeing just about everybody on social media these days. Technically, about 60% of the world has a social media account. And of that population, over 75% have over eight profiles. So
Eight,
people are on
eight
eight,
profiles?
eight profiles. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, that's the average amount of profiles.
Why do
And
people have so many profiles?
well, that's a great question. I mean, I think a lot of the demographic is involving the younger generations who are obviously much more prevalent on social media than the boomers and Gen Z, Gen X, I would say. But
Yeah.
it's more than just the main, Facebook, TikTok, not so much anymore. We'll see what happens. Instagram. Of course, there's some far right wing ones like True Social. People are on. There's of course Reddit, a lot of blogs, a lot of forums that people.
In my head, I was thinking like eight different identities on one platform.
Oh
I was
no,
like,
no,
what?
sorry, yeah.
No,
No,
that was
different
me.
have eight different platform
Oh,
profiles.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, well, actually, and that's a great question. So, with regards to social media, we're seeing it's extremely helpful with regards to family law cases because you're able to contradict, court testimony if a parent claims they can't afford child support and we find they're on some lavish vacations or they're wearing designer clothes. People overshare online. I think we all know, and it is still a place where people can share clandestine, secretive characteristics about themselves, which is really why it's so important to incorporate social media in every investigation, especially background checks, because it provides a much more complete picture of the person, especially when it regards to verifying somebody's resume, but also proving if there's an unfit parent, if they live in a stable, residence, if their Instagram or Snapchat shows them, doing illicit drugs or drinking heavily or engaging in reckless behavior, of course, that would be really important to present in a family law case, as well as catching hidden relationships. Of course, we'll share some I'll share some stories from some of our PIs on how they've uncovered some cheating and stalking situations. But yeah, the stalking harassment is also something we find, and a couple times we are actually able to find cases where an ex has created fake accounts.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, why would somebody have multiple profile names under Instagram? They're creating fake accounts to monitor their exes or their victims' social media. sending threats from, burner profiles. And so yeah, a lot of surprising things, we find in social media. But
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to say something about that in a second. But before we continue, who are you, Jacqy, and what exactly do you do?
yes, so thank you so much for having me. First of all, Lisa, it's such a pleasure to be on here. And I am a business development associate with XG Consultants Group. I've been with the company about 5 years. I actually started out as a social media analyst, and
Oh,
then
yeah, that's right.
yeah, about 5 years ago, and then went into some more international private investigations involving a little bit more higher stakes fraud, money laundering cases. And then I moved into a marketing role, and now I'm definitely more of a client focus and networking role.
Yeah.
So it's really helped to start out doing all the nitty gritty, dirty work, in social media and in global investigations. And now I'm able to share those experiences and those, resources with people. And so, yeah, we do specialize in a variety of global investigations, ranging from, doing due diligence, background screenings. And when I say due diligence, it's a complete opposite from an employment investigation, let's say, or an employment background check, because due diligence doesn't require consent. You don't need to tell the person you're doing searches on them. It's just to get an idea of a person or a business. You want to look into their civil, criminal histories, of course, verify their credentials, verify, anything that is pertinent to your case. But we do have a global fleet of PIs contracted with us that handle all of the boots on the ground support that we need with regards to doing the surveillance or doing document retrieval or interviews or asset searches, all kinds of things, as well as now we have our cybersecurity division that we launched a few years ago that has obviously been a huge supplement to our investigations,
I
especially
bet.
nowadays. Yes, I mean, everybody needs to be more aware about the cyber threats happening. It's happening to all of us, and it's crucial to combat criminals with not only the physical boots on the ground, but with the digital forensic, and now, forensic e-discovery, locating digital evidence. And
Yeah.
so,
As you're
yeah.
talking, Jacqy, I'm picturing a James Bond movie, like in Italy, some fancy car in the mountains, like chasing after somebody.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
this is super helpful what you just started saying too about being a social media analyst. We work with people in these really difficult, high conflict custody cases, divorces, and especially post judgment. And a lot of times people use social media as therapy. And we have to keep reminding them, do not put your stuff on social media
Hmm.
because the other side is combing through everything and using what you do to attack you. So
Hmm.
can you talk about from
Yes.
your angle how you can, if you're involved with an investigation, you can use it to attack? You started getting into it a little bit.
How you can
Like,
avoid sharing like all this
yeah, like
information,
why is
or
it important if you're in the middle of a case like this,
hmm.
not to just put your stuff on social media, thinking about what can be done against you when you're just thinking,
Yes.
oh, I'm having a good time. Like I'm going to post these pictures.
Right, right. Yes, I mean, we self-incriminate ourselves accidentally all the time based on our associations, even what we like on social media, who comments on not just what we comment on people's posts, but what people are commenting on our own posts
So
can
even though
also,
you can't control who comments on your post,
yes, yes.
really?
We have flagged several comments on people's posts that have referred to them, getting into fights or being tied to, some type of illegal activity, that we have to then kind of take that information and, okay, dive a little bit deeper, and maybe this other platform, or you know it's about, somebody's claiming they're, out of town for work, and then an incident occurs. um I'm sorry. And they checked in at a local gym on Facebook, that same day. Their fake alibi,
Mm.
there's a lot of digital breadcrumbs that, can lead to hidden assets as well. Um, we had one case, actually, a woman, suspected her husband of hiding money during their divorce, and we can also look through your Venmo account. So
Oh,
make sure your
really?
profiles are private. Yes, you can look into Venmo and connect your all of your social media handles
So wait
together. So it's
a
also,
second. So
yeah,
on Venmo, where it says like this person paid this amount of money for
yes,
something, so
yes,
you can, wow.
yes.
I don't know,
And
it made me uncomfortable, like seeing like people I barely know, like they paid this person for whatever. Like,
I know
why do we have that?
why does anybody want that
Right?
public? I don't know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good reminder to make all of your profiles public, especially Facebook, the main ones, Instagram, and only friend people who you know, because it's just a lot of exposure, and we're seeing it not only as our own personal identifiable information online because of data brokers that take our home address and our phone numbers and relative information, and they put it on their data broker sites that can be accessed if you pay a subscription fee to their site. So we're getting a lot of cases in. uh, we do a lot of work with high conflict relationships with more like higher net worth people, because it does cost
Yeah.
money. I'm going to be very upfront. Doing surveillance, having a boots on the ground support, it costs money, and it's not just for the regular people, but anyone who suspects the partner or their anybody doing anything to affect the court case or to affect a relationship, it's really it's really important to uh you know really stay ahead of that. And
Yeah.
um
Understand this could
yeah,
be very expensive. So,
yes, yes,
So one of the things that we've seen often is when people are in the middle of these things, it's very emotional, obviously, and the other side, most of the time, has been doing some kind of cheating, and so our clients will say, "I'm going to get a private investigator and prove it." How common is it? And I also think about the cost benefit analysis of like, how much am I going to spend to get
right,
what exactly?
right, exactly. And yeah, that definitely depends. How common it is. Like I said, it is definitely more common for the higher net worth individuals or celebrities, people who do have the money to. I mean, you don't want to just spend 1 hour maybe doing surveillance, but that could cost, our rates. I don't know if you want to talk about rates, but
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, like, how
but
how how much do you charge for something like this? Like per hour, or is it different
it
for different
definitely
services?
depends on the circumstance, but our range is really by the hour, and it can start from like 350 an hour to up to 750 an hour, even more, depending on the complexity and the scope of it.
Yeah, I mean, we
So
we had a client in the South. I think she spent like $35,000 for
yeah,
some surveillance that made a little bit of a difference in the case,
mm,
but not much.
yeah, that's so tough. I mean, and even actually with surveillance, we also don't allow just one private investigator to work on that. We require two surveillance individuals to work on a case. And that is really important because let's say one of the PIs gets stopped by the police, or maybe even the subject, and
Mhm.
obviously that's really bad. You kind of
Yeah.
you don't want to get caught, obviously, but you can, if they ask you, "Oh, are you a PI?" You can lie. You're not police. You don't have to, that's maybe one of the misconceptions people have, is that they think PIs are law enforcement. They have guns. They can enforce. They can arrest people. They cannot do that.
Oh,
We
interesting.
have very strict guidelines, and you have to obviously go through the license, get tested, and you can carry a gun. You don't have to. We have armed and unarmed investigators, but if one PI gets stopped or if like they say they lose the, they lose the subject,
Hmm.
they're in New York City, they're going from a city bike to the subway, or they're now on foot in the park.
Hmm.
It's definitely more cost effective to do two, because a lot of times, surveillance doesn't pan out, like in the case you're mentioning, unfortunately. It's really up to the client to decide how much further they want to go. And so we're always open to tailoring our investigations, whether you want to start out with just, a 5 hour, 10 hour type of case, and then see what we find, and then keep going from there. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
so even those 10 hours, if it's two people and let's say it's like $700 an hour, that's like 14,000, if my math is
Hmm.
right. And like that's
Right.
just as a beginning.
Right.
So we always want to think like, what do you hope to get out of it?
Hmm.
You know?
Exactly.
What are,
And
go ahead.
yeah, not for nothing, it's good to you don't want to just have instincts that something's happening. It's good to try and do your own due diligence a little bit, and do a little bit of investigating yourself, up until the point where, yeah, you got to rely on the experts, where all of our PIs are former law enforcement officers and have decades of experience, you know doing this type of work.
Yeah.
So.
So when you just said about things to do your own due diligence, like what kinds of things can somebody do on their own before they say, I need a professional?
Hmm. Well, for even you're suspecting, so yeah, common signs of like cheating. I remember, um, it's it obviously depends, right? It's secrecy. If somebody's being extra, short with you, and they're not telling you everywhere they're going, or you catch them somewhere they said they weren't. There's unexplained, absences, or even unexplained expenses you're noticing on your like joint credit cards. Maybe there's a decrease like intimacy. I guess it depends on your relationship specifically, but if someone, if your intimacy level goes down 1 week, it's not to say they're cheating.
Right,
But
right.
it's obviously good to just communicate, and communication really matters. But of course, trust your intuition, but be observant and inquisitive without being overbearing. And it's funny that a lot of our PIs, they don't have relationship, at least the ones that I talk to, they don't have relationship issues, which is ironic to me, because their spouses probably wouldn't want to try and like sneak around on a private investigator. So, but all of our
Yeah.
PIs are very family. They're all family oriented individuals. So that's another.
One of the things when you're talking about some things to watch for, like the lack of intimacy or the secrecy, I was thinking somebody told me once to keep an eye out for if the person suddenly gets very interested in their own physical appearance, like with losing weight or changing,
Yeah.
suddenly like their clothes are different and they start really looking better than they normally do.
Hmm.
And also
Hmm.
combined with the secrecy, like what would make that happen? You know,
How we could
that's a
look into.
rhetorical question.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, if they start taking on a new hobby, or right, they're just spending more time away, or they're looking good, they're looking
Mhm.
better. But maybe you're starting to feel like it's not for you, right?
Right,
And
right.
we had a case where a woman reached out to us and suspected her husband was cheating. And so we did some surveillance on him for like 2 or 3 weeks, actually, and we couldn't find anything on him, and he never did anything suspicious, like remotely. And so we were suspicious of that. And so we do counter surveillance electronic measures,
Mhm.
which is to do like sweeps for like listening devices or bugs that a partner could have placed onto the home phone, onto their computer system, that can intercept calls. And so we actually found out that her husband had placed an interceptor and also a camera in her office that was able to listen in on all of her calls and knew when we were going to be doing the surveillance on them.
Oh, wow.
And so that definitely, I think that definitely led to a divorce trial. And so, right after we do a sweep with like radio frequency analysis and like phone analysis and physical evaluations, we then present all of this to the attorney, the woman's attorney, and then they basically take it from there. But
Wow. It's like she knew. She knew, even though you
yes,
couldn't find it at first, like she knew.
yeah. So I wonder if that case you're mentioning where she spent 35K, if somehow, right, there's something
Oh,
deeper
they
there
they
that,
found a lot. They found a
oh,
lot. It
good.
was just like hard to use it because of the nature of the whole thing. But yeah, there
Mm-hmm.
was this was a lot.
Yeah, yeah, that is a pretty standard, yeah, solid case.
Yeah.
But yeah, we another story actually I was fascinated by. We received a request from a husband who wanted us to prove his estranged wife, who was a dancer at an exotic club, was engaging in illegal activity,
Mhm.
and they wanted to do some surveillance on them to find the evidence so they could gain full custody.
Okay.
And our PIs conducted the surveillance on the club and, got as close to the subject as possible, even going into the private areas,
Mhm.
and tried,
Yep.
didn't, and they weren't solicited. They never got solicited for any extra services. So there really wasn't much evidence other than just the fact that she was dancing at this club. And
Mhm.
so the PI had to testify in that case in court next to the wife and the estranged wife and the estranged husband, and presented to the judge that we didn't have any evidence to prove she was doing anything illegal. And so the judge awarded them dual joint custody because
Mhm.
it's nothing illegal about dancing at a exotic club. But there's definitely a lot of it's important to do surveillance, like I said, with a couple different people, because uh, you don't want to lose the momentum
Yeah.
by getting stopped. And actually, oh, I forgot to mention that the woman was near one of our PIs and actually said, "Oh, you're super handsome. Like, are you a cop?" And because some stereotypically they're just they just give off
Yes.
cop vibes. And so I'm like, sometimes they wear disguises too to try to lessen that exposure. But he just said, "No, I'm not. I'm not a cop." And so it's definitely, maybe, it's helpful to be able to lie, though, and that's in that
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. What are some other misconceptions about private investigations or private investigators?
Yes. Similar, what I mentioned before is, some people think they can carry guns, they can act like law enforcement, but also some people think that PIs kind of go rogue and they can break the
Mhm.
law. I mean, a lot of movies and TV shows, I think we see them bending the law, but
Mhm.
our motto actually at XG is protect your integrity and secure your future. And we have to protect our integrity as well, of course. And so we do the biggest and the most due diligence ourselves on any contractors, and especially clients too, because we have to be wary of giving information to the stalker or to the person who
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
who
So
is on
so
the
you
other.
have to screen your clients too.
Yes, yes. And it can be difficult, and we've had to turn down people before because there was too many like conspiracies, or they just did not seem right.
Yeah.
So
No, I know.
we
We
have
won't
to,
get into like what those things are because we don't want to give it
yes, yes, yes. But we don't we can't hack into digital accounts. We can't do wiretaps. We're only looking into if we're only doing sweeps, which is to see if there are listening devices already embedded in the home or the car. But we can't access financial records without consent. Obviously, we do a lot of litigation support, and so with the court ordered mandates, we can do anything with regards to asset searches, financial investigations, locating offshore accounts. And then another thing, oh, I think, I just mentioned some people think, I would love to hear if you have any ideas about what a PI, does, and maybe a stereotype of what you think our
Well, I mean,
listeners think of.
it's the movies. It's the
Yeah,
movies. You think they can do anything. They can get
right,
away with everything. It's the James Bond stuff. But
right.
in terms of like custody cases, so I love the example you gave of how someone, I imagine, was trying to prove the other person was an unfit parent because of what she did for her job. And I think
Hmm.
that kind of that fear that I'm sure was created by knowing like, okay, I'm doing this thing that some people might judge as bad,
Morally, right,
but
yeah,
that hearing
yes.
that a judge said, look, that's not illegal, like that's the job, and there was no illegal activity. And I think it's important again to talk about stuff like that. Like we've had clients who have had some questionable in the eyes of society jobs,
Yes, right.
but it has not worked against them, although their ex has used that fear of like, I'm gonna expose what you do because what you do makes you an unfit parent,
Hmm.
and that's not always true at all.
Hmm.
Especially if what that person does for a job doesn't have any impact on your children,
Right.
which is, there's a set of factors that courts care about when it comes to custody, and parents having that kind of job is not one of the custody factors at all.
Absolutely. It's really definitely very emotional
Mhm.
in these types of cases when you're really, yeah, you're trying to prove something that's morally maybe, you know, unacceptable, but it's not illegal. And so it can be very contentious, and especially when they have to testify and a lot of emotions running, like people shocked when they find out what we did find, or the opposite. A lot of emotions coming out
Yeah.
of that. But
Do you find that when so one thing I'm thinking of from our experience with PIs and our clients telling us stories is that a PI can be really helpful in trying to settle a case outside of court, because you dig up a bunch of dirt, and then if you go in mediation where it's private, you can say, look, we've got all this stuff on you, like we can
yes,
settle this now,
yes,
or we can go public where there's going to be records and other people in the room, and it could affect your reputation and your job. And so
yes,
if you find that too, like the stuff you dig up helps people stay out of court.
yes, absolutely. I would say most cases settle
Oh, that's
before
good.
the trial. Yes. But right, what the only occasion when we do testify, that's really when, yeah, the tensions are extra high. And it's very emotional. But yeah, it's nice to know that you should have the option to, right, be able to settle it,
Yeah.
unless this is a high profile individual and they have a pattern of doing this in relationships. I think we can see across different marriages, even like you know what's happened in the past, and what could happen in the future if we don't actually teach this person a lesson by exposing them in public.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
sometimes that doesn't work because they just
Right,
keep doing it because they can't control themselves. you
right,
know yeah.
exactly,
So
exactly.
so
We
what about what are the kinds of things or kinds of questions that someone should ask when they're looking for a good private investigator?
definitely, I mean, so us as a private investigation firm, it is recommended to go with a firm, and there are of course freelance PIs, but the firm that is reputable, we have our own PI license that's on our website that you can also look up and verify, and trust that we've already vetted this individual to the full extent. Otherwise, you get a freelance PI, you should do your own due diligence investigation on them, checking their resume, asking for their resume, checking
Mm-hmm.
their license, um, being very aware of referrals, because everybody gets referred. It's such a referral world
Mm-hmm.
out there, and we're also trusting of a friend of a friend, even
Yeah.
though it's a little bit far removed. And So you really, I highly recommend doing as much background on the individual as possible, um, and seeing what their experiences are. Like if they aren't completely experienced with surveillance or divorce cases, then maybe, they might not be a good fit.
Yeah, it's
But
almost like a lawyer. Like you want someone who really knows
right.
how to deal with this kind of situation. I always think about my favorite question to ask an attorney, which I think would be the same for a private investigator, which is how would you handle a case like mine? You know, to
Right.
see if the person that you're hiring really understands the details, but
hmm
also has a strategy, because you don't want it to be like, well, who knows how much it get caught. Like to be like, this is what we would do. It would cost about
Yes.
this much. Maybe
Right.
this. Of course, there's the open ended. We don't know, but it
hmm
could go this way, because that we need that comfort, especially coming to you in the first place.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely recommend, uh, even though I should say the freelance PIs are going to be cheaper for
Hmm.
sure, but working with an accredited company that also has the experience that we have, which I didn't mention, but we were founded in 2001. So we're going on 25 years of experience, over 25 years. And we actually did start out in doing a lot of security and investigative work for media and entertainment
Hmm.
companies, doing a lot of due diligence and employment background checks for reality TV shows, as well as some executive protection and like event security when they're traveling. And then throughout that time, we also were contracted to be a security rep for an NFL team,
Hmm.
and we still do work. We still do a lot of work for some major sports organizations, and now we're very much in a variety of industries, including, of course, the legal industry and insurance. We get a lot of, insurance claim investigations, or we're working with family offices, wealth management firms who, need to track down their assets,
Yeah.
individual
Well, money,
assets.
hidden assets is a big issue in our community as well. But speaking of background checks,
Mhm.
that comes up often when our clients are first divorcing or afterwards, and their ex gets involved with a new person, and they get very, very nervous about this person being around their children.
hmm
How would a background check make a difference in a situation like that?
Yeah, so we can do background checks with as little as a phone number. All we need is a
Really?
phone number, because we have our own public and private databases that we are ethically and legally using for these investigations. We have a phone number that will then lead to all the residences that they've lived in for the past, their entire lives. We can also
Wow.
see any relatives associated with them, of course, their date of birth, social security number, very sensitive information. And through that, we we gather, depending on how far back you want to do a background check. For employment, it's typically 7 years, but for due diligence, you can go back as far as possible. And depending on how old or young this individual is, might be good to go back a little bit farther, because of course, you know there's cases that might not, they were expunged. There's a lot of criminal and civil cases that we have to investigate, and the importance of looking at all of the residents, all of the counties in each state that they've lived in. It's important to do court searches in every single county that
Wow.
they've been in, because we're seeing a lot of deficiencies within the background screening industry, where companies are offering these cheap, nationwide, instant criminal database checks. And
Mhm.
it's a database check. It's not fully accurate. It's not really up to date. You have to verify any of those records with the court records, because that is what's verified and what's real. And and so it is time consuming. I mean, court records are public information, so you can go do your own criminal and civil. I highly recommend doing your civil court searches
Mm.
just as much as criminal, because as
Really?
we're seeing you can be convicted of sexual abuse, right, in civil court. We're
Mm-hmm.
seeing you can also get restraining orders in civil court, domestic violence cases. There's a lot of child custody cases in civil court, of course, as well as stalking and harassment can show up in civil court. And hopefully those would also show up in criminal court too, but that's not always the case. And people really neglect the civil side because it's just a little bit extra time, and it's but extremely important. And then yeah, again, we really recommend the social media, adding social media to your investigations, to your background checks, and doing a little bit as much as you can on your own. But with our team, we're also seeing companies using AI first in social media checks.
Oh,
And
really?
I think I think a lot of us are using AI these days, and of course it can be more efficient and seemingly more encompassing, but with the tools that most social media screening companies have is very limited to just like five main platforms, like the main ones like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, maybe yeah, Reddit also is really, really popular. But we look at, there's way more than five platforms out there. We look at hundreds of platforms, and we don't limit ourselves to just photos. We obviously take into consideration the cultural context, the cultural nuances, and trending dances, or trending topics that are, or trending, dangerous, games, people doing stupid things
Mm-hmm. Doing
on the
stupid things
video.
and publicizing themselves doing it.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
But,
So,
but yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I forgot anything, Jacqy, but if so, like say it now. Otherwise, like how can people find you?
Yes. So thank you again so much for having us. We do have this Instagram account. We're more active on our LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
and we can be found at XG Consultants Group. Um, but our website is also xgconsultantsgroup.com. And our cyber website is xgcyber.com. And you can call me also anytime. Our number is, do you want me to share the
Yeah,
phone
yeah,
number?
go ahead.
Great.
Mhm.
It's 212-499-1480. And like I said, we can handle investigations around the world. We have boots on the ground in just about 200 countries and territories, which is pretty much as many as there are, which is, it's due to I think I didn't even mention that our CEO is a retired FBI special agent. So he was in the FBI for over 33 years. And now, having started this company, we have over 50 years of having built up our resources and our network really around the world to help with anything from the child custody cases, or missing persons, or the background checks, or corporate fraud and embezzlement, money laundering, to providing legal support for civil and criminal cases. So we're really grateful to share our resources with everyone. And of course, if anyone has any questions, I'd definitely be happy to share more details and try to help with with the cases, with your issues. It's
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I learned some stuff today that I never knew, so I love that.
Oh, great. I'm so glad. Thank you so
No,
much
my
again.
pleasure, Jacqui. All
And
right, well,
so,
let's.
yeah, definitely don't reveal too much online. And just trust your instincts. And and we're always here to answer questions, even if if you think it's stupid. We're happy to help. Really, you gotta protect yourselves. So.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much, and we'll definitely send. Yeah, I'm sure you'll hear from some of ours about some interesting situations.
Well, great, and I look forward to hearing more people that join your podcast. It's so nice to to connect with your resources as well, because we're all trying to work together, right? We all need to
Yeah.
collaborate and help each other. And so
Yeah.
I appreciate you so
All right.
much.
Thank you so much, Jacqy. I'll
Thanks.
see you soon.
All right.
Okay.
Yes. See you soon.
Bye.